All right, so the story that we're tracking at this hour is Pakistan feeling the pressure of international isolation? For the first time it appears, according to sources, Wion has learned that the Pakistani government may not block the blacklisting of Masood Azhar at the United Nations Security Council on the 13th of March. The Wion has learned from the Pakistani government sources that the Imran Khan government will not be opposing the listing of Masood Azhar at the United Nations. The sources have further revealed that the Pakistani government has stated that it wants to act decisively against all non-state actors which are those that have been listed by the United Nations under different sections. Just last week, remember, the United States, the United Kingdom and France had proposed that the United Nations Security Council will blacklist Masood Azhar, backing India's stance and also acknowledging his role in the Pulwama terror attack. The United States, the United Kingdom and France had asked the 15-member Security Council Sanctions Committee to subject Masood Azhar to an arms embargo, also to subject him to a global travel ban and also impose a freeze on his assets. Now, the proposal is expected to come up for discussion on the 13th of March. And interestingly, for the first time round, Pakistan, it appears, may not block the blacklisting and the designation of Masood Azhar as a globally recognized terrorist. And to add more perspective on this, we are joined in by Mr. Tilak Devashar, who is a former Special Secretary, Cabinet Secretariat. He's joining us from New Delhi. We also have with us my colleague Anas Malik, who's our Pakistan Bureau Chief. And we also have with us Kartikeya Sharma, our Senior Political Affairs Editor. But Mr. Tilak Devashar, let me begin with you on this, because this in some ways is unprecedented. Because so far, every time India has tried to get Masood Azhar designated as a globally recognized terrorist at the UNSC, Pakistan has blocked that move. But this time around, it appears that Pakistan may have had a change of heart.
It would be a welcome move. It would be a good move in case it is true. I would sort of wait till we get a confirmation that actually Pakistan is not going to oppose this. But in case Pakistan does not, as your report suggests, then it will just show that the international pressure on Pakistan has worked. I think the international community is now absolutely fed up with the kind of terrorism emanating from Pakistan, and they have put sufficient pressure on Pakistan for it to change its behavior. And here I think China would have played a very important role, because China would have said that they have the ones who are backing Pakistan all this while and have blocked Masood Azhar being named a global terrorist several times in the past, but they can no longer be embarrassed. And that would have come as a rude awakening to Pakistan, because now it finds that if it continues on this track, it will really be totally isolated, when even China will now no longer be able to support it. I think that is what the international pressure would really have worked, rather than any sort of change in Pakistan's heart by its own, but the international pressure.
Okay, now this is still through our sources. The official confirmation is expected to be made sometime later on in the day. But Mr. Tilak Devashar, do you think, if Pakistan were not to oppose the listing of Masood Azhar at the United Nations, do you think it is to be read as Imran Khan perhaps trying to strike it on its own and not taking instructions from Rawalpindi? Is that possible at all?
No, I don't think so. I think whatever decision gets taken, it will be a combined decision. I don't think so. Imran Khan is an independent actor at all. As we all know that his election, he owes his election as Prime Minister to the army. He and the army are supposedly on the same page, as everybody emphasizes. So I don't think Imran Khan is an independent actor. He is acting in consonance with what the army wants. So if there's international pressure, the army would have felt the pressure too, especially if it came from China. And that way, then the army would have realized that, this is a bad job. So let's withdraw on the opposition that we've been having.
All right, let me bring in our Senior Political Affairs Editor, Kartikeya Sharma, on this. Kartikeya, this is an interesting sort of a change of heart, if indeed this announcement is made later on in the day. How do you think India would respond to this?
I think India will be happy. I think it's a concession which India will be getting. I think it will create a political elbow room. But, I'll take this opportunity to ask this question to Mr. Devashar. Sir, why this promptness of Pakistan now to take a decision not to block the name of Azhar Masood in United Nations when it has been asking China to do so? Is it only because of Pulwama, sir? Or is it because a lot of things have simultaneously moved, which is FATF, Pulwama, the Balakot attack, and the international community interceding on behalf of India? One factor or multiple factors coming in, sir?
that, I don't think so the international community has been very happy at the way things have proceeded after Pulwama. Of the Pulwama attack and the way the India reacted for a change that going into Pakistan and hitting Pakistan in Pakistan has brought, for the international community, the two countries close to a full-fledged war. And that is something nobody in the international community wants. And everybody realizes that the whole thing, that India has been provoked into doing this by terrorism coming from Pakistan. So they would have prevailed upon Pakistan to get its act together. And the most visible symbol of this would be that since the listing of Masood Azhar is coming up on 13th of March, they would have told them that you better keep off trying to oppose this listing again. If this is true, I still urge caution that I am not sure that this is actually true. But if you, as you say, it is true, that this would be the reason that, the international community, seeing how things were developing between India and Pakistan,
right,
extremely worried about a confrontation between the two countries, and the fact that India has responded so vigorously after having absorbed all the terrorist attacks in the past. But this time, obviously, our patience wore thin. And when we reacted, then the international community realized that this cannot carry on as business as usual, and that Pakistan will have to make concessions.
All right, that is an important point that you've made. We still are waiting for this confirmation, official confirmation from the Pakistani government. Meanwhile, our Islamabad bureau chief Anas Malik has joined us. Anas, we were, before we went into the break, talking about the whereabouts of Masood Azhar. Now, in the two interviews that Shah Mahmood Qureshi, in fact, has given to the international media, he quite clearly admitted that the Pakistani government is in touch with Masood Azhar. The Pakistani government asked the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief whether they were responsible for the Pulwama attack, and when he was told that the Jaish was not, now Shah Mahmood Qureshi said that that was reason enough for him not to proceed further in this case. Now, how are we to read this kind of a statement, one by Shah Mahmood Qureshi, and now this other announcement that is expected to be made, where Pakistan will not block the listing of Masood Azhar as a globally recognized terrorist?
Well, when it comes to what Shah Mahmood spoke to the international media, something that is to be noted is the fact that how the Pakistani administration is looking at it. The Pakistani administration is again on their own rhetoric. We've seen that happening previously as well when the Mumbai attacks took place, that the government has nothing to do with it. This time, the Pakistani foreign minister, coming in support of a known terrorist who has been admitting attacks from Pakistani soil into the Indian soil. So that would be something that is to be noted, and what I believe is the fact that he's hinting towards perhaps the dossier that has been handed over in Delhi to the acting Pakistani High Commissioner Syed Ali Haider, since the Pakistani Minister of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Dr. Mohammad Faisal had also said that Pakistan will act only if there is any actionable intelligence in it. Now the word here underlined is the fact that it is any actionable intelligence and not on the same lines that has been previously. So what I believe is the fact that the Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has been hinting on the same lines, that there was perhaps not something any actionable in view of the Pakistani government, and in light of which he's made this statement. Now what we're expecting at the UNSC is that a statement is likely to be made in about an hour from now. There would be a consultative meeting held at the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs. After that, we're expecting a formal statement to be made. But anything on that sort, with regards to a statement, a formal statement, is yet to be seen. But particularly when it comes to Masood Azhar, the admission from the Pakistani Foreign Minister himself, the fact that they're in touch with the banned terror outfit itself is an explosive admission, given the Pakistan's stated position. Just as I said, on the 26th of February, when I asked the Pakistani Foreign Minister of Jaish-e-Mohammed's active presence in Pakistan, be that anywhere, he categorically denied and accused me of being gullible and pondering into the Indian agenda, as he said so. But just 3 days later, he went on record to the international media and he said that yes, not just Masood Azhar is in Pakistan, but the Pakistani government is in contact. So we see that those contradictions, be that be for his own audience or be that be on the international audience, the Pakistani government or the foreign minister himself remains unclear as to what line he has to opt. But something that is very significant is the fact that this decision that has been taken in principle to give up on the opposition of Masood Azhar's listing will indeed be welcomed in time to come. It's just on the 13th of March. We're to see that how the Pakistani government strategy would be on this. But something that is welcoming is the fact that the Pakistani it has the blessings of the Pakistani Prime Minister and naturally the Pakistani military as well. Though both of them they seem to be on one page, with particularly on regards to decisively acting against these non-state actors or terror elements present within its territory. Yes, Saleh.
So Saleh, a very important point being made by Anas in this context, that there's a possibility that the official statement by the Pakistani government may come today. But the larger issue here is that will that be enough? Will that change things on ground? As we were talking in the previous bulletin, will that ensure that the non-state actors will not get a free run as they got when they organized 26/11? Or does it mean that there will be no Haqqani networks in Pakistan? The larger question is this a facelift or is this for real? Now, even if it is a facelift, it's a big victory for India. Now, if it doesn't mean on ground, things will continue to evolve. As the Air Force chief in a press conference in Coimbatore has already stated that the operations are still on. Saleh.
Absolutely, indeed. That the point that I was also making, Kartikeya, is that Shah Mahmood Qureshi, when he spoke with the local media there, he had a different messaging for the domestic audience, and with the international media, his message was something different. But Mr. Tilak Devashar, let me bring you in on this. The fact of the matter is, after the 26/11 happened, Hafiz Saeed was put on this United Nations proscribed terrorist list. Nothing changed because he was still able to carry on with his nefarious activities as normal. So even if in the possibility that Masood Azhar is listed as a globally recognized terrorist, do you think things will really change on the ground?
No, that's a good point. It won't. You see, like in the case of Hafiz Saeed. Hafiz Saeed, he has a $10 million bounty on his head, but he's roaming around freely and giving TV interviews and addressing speeches. Same thing will happen to Masood Azhar. The only difference is that it will signal a victory for India, because we have been wanting this and it has been opposed by Pakistan and by China for several years. It will be a sort of a moral victory, you can call it that. But on the ground, until Pakistan army moves decisively against the Jaish terror network, in terms of dismantling the infrastructure, in terms of de-weaponizing the cadres, in terms of re-educating the cadres and bringing them back into the mainstream by giving them different kind of education, nothing on the ground is actually going to change. This will just be a superficial thing, and this is exactly what Pakistan is known to do. But when the pressure gets too much, they relieve a little bit of pressure by a small tactical gesture.
Right.
By saying that we are going to act decisively against terror organizations. This is all very well to say, but will they actually do it? I am very, very skeptical, because the terror infrastructure continues to be intact. In fact, if you recall, just about 2 days ago, an organization called the Al-Badr was openly recruiting in Dir. They were asking for volunteers to come fight in Kashmir, and that is going on openly under the very noses of the government and the army and the police establishment. So what are we talking about in terms of acting decisively against terror organizations? I am very skeptical that they will actually do so. This could just be a tactical move to relieve pressure from the pressure that is being put on them as a result of the Balakot strikes.
I think that is being summed up very beautifully. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Tilak Devashar, to Anas Malik and also to Kartikeya Sharma for joining us and getting us the perspective on this, because there is a lot of difference between what Pakistan says and what Pakistan does. And this latest source-based information could pretty well be a cosmetic sort of an exercise on the part of Pakistan to try and ward off a bit of pressure that it is under after the Pulwama attack.